for grade 8 presented by Miss Dabo. Welcome back everyone. Nice to meet you again. So today's topic will be common fractions. At the end of the lesson, you must be able to define common fractions, differentiate between proper fractions, mixed fractions, and improper fractions, subtract fractions, and add fractions. Okay. So what is a common fractions? What are common fraction? What common fraction entails? For example, you can see this example right here. This is your common fraction. This is your common fraction. Example is 1 over 2. 1 is our numerator and 2 is our denominator. That's your common fraction. Denominator and numerator are both integers. So common fraction includes whole numbers and natural numbers, not decimal numbers. We don't include the decimal numbers in our common fractions. We don't include decimal numbers on our common fractions. So common fractions example is 1 over 2. Not, we can't have 1,2 over 2. No, it must be whole numbers and natural numbers. They must both be integers. No. All right. So types of fractions. So we'll be dealing with 3 types of fractions. So the first one will be proper fractions. Right. So on proper fractions, the denominator is bigger than the numerator, meaning that you see this 7 is our denominator and it's bigger than our numerator, which is 3. Now, so let's go to our improper fractions. What are improper fractions? Improper fractions, the numerator is either bigger or the same, equal as our denominator. So numerator is it's bigger or it's the same. So here's an example here. So as our numerator we have 12. So 12 is our numerator and it's bigger. And denominator is 6, which is smaller than our numerator, which makes them our improper fractions. Or improper fractions, the denominator and the numerator can be the same. For example, here we have 12 over 12. All right. And then again, we have mixed fractions. Mixed fractions is common a proper fractions and a whole number. Proper fractions and a whole number. Here is our example. Our example is a whole number of 3 and then we have 2 over 4. So let's recap. When we recap, what are proper fractions? Proper fractions are the denominator is bigger than the numerator. So what are improper fractions? Improper fractions, the numerator is bigger or the numerator and denominator have the same values, they are equal. Right. Okay. So let's go to lowest common multiple. So we will need to calculate our lowest common multiple or determine our lowest common multiple when we add or subtract our fractions. That's when we'll need our lowest common multiple. So they say when the denominators are not the same. When the denominators are not the same, we will need to have our lowest common multiples. So for example, let's say we need to add a fraction of 1 over 3 and 2 over 4. Now, so what we will need to do is mention our multiples for 3 and 4. Here's the example right here. So our multiples for 3, we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18. Right. So we'll just stop right there. It goes on and on and on. It goes on and on and on. And let's have our multiples for 4. So for our multiples for 4, we have 4, 8, 12. So here is our common number. What is our common multiple? It's 12. It's the lowest. It's not the highest. It's the lowest. Right. So our denominator in this case will be 12 because it's our lowest common multiple. Right. Okay, so let's go to the simplest form. Guys, when you are calculating your fraction, multiplying your fraction, adding your fraction, or subtracting your fractions, you will need to convert them to its simplest form. How do you find a simplest form? To find your simplest form is dividing the numerator and denominator by the biggest number that will divide both numbers exactly to stay as natural numbers, meaning that you will divide your denominator and your numerator by a number that won't leave anything behind. For example, when you divide, if we need to divide 4 and 6, right? So we'll have 2 as our number. We'll have 2 as our number to divide with 4 and 6, right? So yeah, we'll use that number to divide both the denominator and numerator. Okay. Okay, so now let's do this together. Let's do equivalent fractions. What are equivalent fractions? You can see the word here. It says equal, which rings a bell of something like equal, but not really equal, right? So what are equivalent fractions? Equivalent fractions. What are equivalent fractions, right? Equivalent fractions are fractions that have the same value even though they look different. So for example, let's use this table right here. So this table right here, we'll use this 1 over 2. So 1 over 2, it's the same as 2 over 4. It's the same, they have the same value, but they look different. To find equivalent fractions, multiply the denominator and your numerator by the same number, right? If you want to find the equivalent fractions, you must multiply your denominator and your numerator by the same number. What you do on the left-hand side, you must do on the right-hand side. You remember us doing the equations. It's the same thing like here. What you do on your denominator, you must do on your numerator, right? To get your equivalent fractions. Okay, so let me go back to what are equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions are fractions that have the same value even though they look the same. Like this one, for example, 1 over 2 is the same as 2 over 4, right? 2 over 4 is the same as 1 over 2. 2 over 4, when you simplify it, you will get 1 over 2. When you simplify 2 over 4, and again 1 over 2 is the same as 4 over 8. When you simplify 4 over 8, you will get 1 over 2. Okay, so now let's do this example. So this example says find two equivalent fractions for 1 over 4. So we must find the equivalent fractions for 1 over 4. What did we say about? Okay, let's highlight this. You can use green. Okay. So what did I say about finding our equivalent fractions? We said that to find the equivalent fraction, we must multiply the numerator and denominator by the same numbers, right? Okay, so we must find two equivalent fractions for 1 over 4. Not only one, but two. Okay, so the first one we will use 2. So we'll say 1 over 4, but you can see it, right? And then we'll use 2. So we'll have 1 multiplied by 2, which is 2. And then we'll have 4 multiplied by 2, which is 8. And when you simplify 2 over 8 in your calculator there, you can type 2 over 8 and tell me how much do you get. There in the comments, you can just comment how much do you get, because 2 over 8 is its equivalent fraction to 1 over 4. And when you simplify 2 over 8, you get 1 over 4. It shows that it is your equivalent fraction. Right. Okay, for example number 2, we still have our 1 over 4 because we must find two equivalent fractions for 1 over 4. We've already found one, which is 2 over 8. Right. For the second example, obviously we have our 1 over 4, and then we'll say 1. We'll use 3 this time because on our first example we used 2. So this time we'll use 3. Here's the second example right here. So you will say 1 multiplied by 3, which is 3. And then we'll have 4 multiplied by 3, which is 12. So there in your calculator, I know you have your calculator with you. Just write 3 over 12 and check that when you simplify 3 over 12, you actually get your 1 over 4 back, which makes them our equivalent fractions. It shows that you are correct. Right. So when you simplify 3 over 12, you will still have your 1 over 4, which makes them your equivalent fractions. Right. Okay, so let's move on. So in this case, in this question right here, we will add and subtract our fractions, right? And in this case, we have the same denominators, guys. When we have the same denominators, you add and you subtract the traditional way as usual. Just keep your keep your denominators when they are the same. They do not change. The only ones that change, it's your numerators. Now, so number A, we have 2 over 3 plus 1 over 3. Here's our number A. So when we add them, we'll just do it the traditional way, which is 2 plus 1 equals to 3. Yes, correct. And then you will have your 3. Here's your 3. And then you will have 3 over 3 because your denominators are the same. You can see them right here, right? Your denominators are the same, so you don't need to change anything here. You just add the traditional way, 2 plus 1, which is our 3. Okay, so example number B, we have 2 over 4 plus 3 over 4. So in this case, again, we have our denominators are the same. We don't need to have our lowest common multiple or change anything in this case. So we will use it the traditional way again. We'll have 2 plus 3 equals to what? Equals to 5. Equals to 5, and then we'll have our 5 over 4 is our answer for number B. Correct. So let's go to number C. So number C, our denominators are the same again, right? So since our denominators are the same, they are not changing at all, right? So we'll just add our numerators as traditionally as we know them, right? So we'll have 6 plus 8 equals to 14. Here's our answer for number C, right? Okay, so for our subtraction, let's move to this side. So for our subtraction, we will use this table right here. So this table right here, let's say you are the green one. You see this green side, and your friend is this white side right here, right? And this is, we'll only use this example, this one, and this one, this three. So it's this three. So you are the green one and your friend is the white one. So this is your pizzas, ne? These are the flavors when you only like the green flavor and your friend likes the white flavor, right? So it means that the green, the first example right here, the green one, you will only have 1/3. You see right here. And your friend will have what? 2/3, because we have 3 pieces, which is our total. And our 3 is our denominator and 1 is our numerator. So let's subtract them. Let's subtract your friend's pizza and your pizza, right? So your friend received 2/3 pizzas because your friend loves this white flavor and you only like the green flavor. So the green flavor right here is 1/3. You see right here, your friend 2/3 and yourself 1/3. So let's subtract your friends with yours. So we'll have 2/3 minus 1/3, and our answer will be 1/3. Our denominators are the same, so denominator doesn't change at all. We're not changing our denominators in this case because they are the same. We're not trying to find any lowest common multiple in this case. So let's do number B. So number B, again, there's only one green flavor and you like the green flavor. So again, you will only get one piece of the pizza and your friend likes this white flavor and he or she will get the other white flavor. So your friend will get 3 pieces over 4 pieces and you will only have 1/4 pieces. So let's subtract your friend's fractions with yours. So we'll have 3/4 minus 1/4 equals to 2/4. You see here we have the same denominators, so our denominators are not changing. Let's create some space right here. Our denominators are not changing, they are the same. So we'll just minus it the traditional way, which is 3 minus 1 equals to 2/4. Where did we get our 4? It's our denominator. It doesn't change, right? So let's go to the last example, which is number C. So our number C, here's number C. So number C again, this pizza right here, it only has one green flavor again, and your friend loves the white flavor. So your friend will get how many pieces? Will get 4 pieces, and you'll only get 1 pieces over how many pieces? Over 5 pieces, right? So in this case, let's have your friend's fraction. So here's it. It's 4/5 pieces. And how many did you get? You got 1/5 pieces. Our denominator is the same, but our numerators are not the same. We'll treat them the way we know it, which is saying 4 minus 1, which is 3. Correct. So we are done with this part. Let's go to the next one. So when we go to the next one, here we will convert or write mixed fractions as common fractions. You see right here, we have 2. Let's make it bigger. or just give it some color. Let's give it a blue color. Okay, let's give it a powder blue color. So here's our number A. Here's our mixed fraction right here. Our mixed fraction is 2 and 6 over 9. So to get our common fraction, our fraction to be a proper fraction or a improper fraction. Proper and improper fraction. Okay, so we have 2, 6 over 9. What we will do, we'll say this 9, you can see 9 right here. We will have 2 multiplied by we'll say 2 multiplied by here we'll say, let's do it together. Okay, we'll have our 2 multiply by 9 plus 6, which is 2 multiplied by 9 plus 6, which is 24. And then we'll have our fraction, which is, this is not 19, guys. Let's do our fraction in this case. Our fraction will be 24 over 9. So that's our answer for example number A. Okay, so let's calculate number B together again. So when we calculate number B together, we'll have our 3 multiply by 8. Let me just make this a bit bigger or change the color. Here's our fraction. So we'll have our 27 over 8. Oh my goodness. Let's minimize this one. Over 8. Yes, correct. Correct. Let's make this the same color. So you can see here, guys. Sorry. Now we are converting our mixed fractions to proper fraction or improper fraction. So here we will change our numerator. Our numerator is the one that's changing, right? And our denominator is not changing. So in this case, we will have 2 multiplied by 9. 2 multiplied by 9 plus 6 equals to 24. And then our fraction will be 24 over 9. Okay. And then our second example is, let's make it bigger because it's too small. So our second example right here will be 3 and then 3 over 8. And then we'll have our 3 multiplied by 8 plus 3 equals to 27. And then our numerator will change. Our numerator will change. Then we can have 27 . Okay, guys, we are back. We are back. We are back. It was just a bit of difficulty. So here, guys, let's move to this table right here. So now we are done converting our mixed fractions to proper or improper fractions, right? Okay, so let's go now to adding fraction and subtracting our fractions. So here's our fractions right here. Number A. Number A, let's highlight it. Yellow. Okay, so number A, indeed, we will have 6. We have 6 and then 4 over 5 plus 2, 1 over 6. Right. So now let's convert them to two fractions, to proper or improper fractions before we can calculate. So now let's convert them first. Let's convert our numerator. So we'll have our 4 multiplied by 6. 5 multiplied by 6 plus 4 equals to 34. You can do it there in your calculator just to verify the answers. Our answer is 34. So our numerator will change. So let's make the second one. The second one, we have 2 multiplied by 6 plus 1, which is 13. So we have our 34 as our numerator and 13 as our numerator. All right. Okay, so here we have 34 over 5. You can see it, right? Plus 13 over 6. So in this case, guys, we can see that. Let me highlight this one again. We can see that our denominators are not clearly, they are not the same. You can see that, guys, right? Our denominators are not the same. So we must find the lowest multiple. Our lowest multiple, 4, 5, and 6. So you remember on this example right here, when you find your lowest multiple, you can say it 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. And the second one, you can just say it again, 4, 8, 12. So in our example right here, we must find the lowest multiple for 5 and 6, right? So let's do it together. Let's find the lowest multiple for 6 first. So we'll have our 6 we'll have the first one, it's 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. We'll stop right there, guys, right? Okay, so now let's have our multiples for 5. For 5 is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Did you hear that? So our lowest common multiple for 5 and 6 is what? Is, you said it, is 30. So our lowest common multiple for 5 and 6 is 30. Okay, so now we must change our denominators to, sorry, to 30. They must be the same. Our denominators must be the same. But again, we must also change our numerators. Name. So step number 3 here. Let's highlight our step number 3. We can make it lime green. This is fine. Okay, let's make it powder blue. All right. So our step number 3 right here said, here's our new denominator. Our new denominator is 30. So meaning that we said 5 multiplied by 6 equals to 30. So we must also do the same thing with our numerator. We must also multiply our numerator by 6. So when we say 34 multiplied by 6, we will most definitely get 204. So for the first one, we'll have 204 divide over 30. So that's the first one. So let's do the second one. We can highlight this again. We can give it red, it's fine. Okay, so for the second one again, our denominators must be 30. The lowest common multiple is 30, meaning that we basically multiplied it by 5, 6 by 5. You can see here 6 multiplied by 5 equals to 30. 6 multiplied by 5 equals to 30, and we must do the same thing with our numerator. So we must also multiply our numerator by 5, and then we will get 65. All right, you see here, guys, our denominator must be the same with our numerator. Right? Okay, so now since our denominators are the same, then we can add the traditional way, the way we know it, right? So guys, before I can highlight it, can you please add 204 plus 65? How much is it? You can do it there in your calculators. Okay, so 204 plus 65 equals to 269. And since our denominators are the same, they are not changing. We did convert our denominators to the lowest common multiple, which is 30. So our answer will be 269 over 30. And we must make that our simplest form because it can be simplified, and it can only be simplified with a mixed fraction, right? I see a hand here. With a fraction. Okay, so now when I did simplify our 269, let's do it this side. Okay, let's have our clean slate so we can do it together. Okay, right. So we had 269. We had 269 over 30 over 30. So we must simplify it and convert it to a mixed fraction. right? So when we do that, we must obviously, how many times does 30 go into 269? If you can divide 269 by 30, how much will you get? You will get a decimal, but we'll only take the first number, which is 8. So we'll have our 269 divide by 30, which is equals to 8 comma something, 8,96666. But we'll only take 8 because we are dealing with common fractions, and common fractions does not include decimals, right? So we'll only have our 8. So our second step will say 8 multiplied by 30. So we'll say 8 multiplied by 30 equals to 240. So now we have our 240 and 8. Okay, so again, we'll just say 240, sorry, 240 subtract 269 subtract 240 equals to, guys, when you say 269 minus 240, how much do you get? You can just say there in the comments, how much do you get? 29. Yes, correct. So here's our values name. So this will be our whole number. Our 8 will be our whole number. So let's write our equation here, because now we are done. We'll have our 8 as our whole number, and for our fraction, you remember that our denominator doesn't change anyway, even though we are now converting it to a mixed fractions, but our denominator stays the same. So we will have 29 because, okay, we'll have our 29 over 30. That's our mixed fractions. Guys, are you getting there? Are you understanding it? So we did convert our 269 over 30 to our mixed fractions, which is 829 over 30. Right, we started by saying 269 divided by 30, and we had 8 comma something, which makes it a decimal number, but we don't deal with decimal numbers when we do our common fractions. We only deal with natural numbers and whole numbers. So we'll have our 8 as our whole number. Here's our 8, and then we'll have our 8 multiplied by 30. Then we'll get 240, and then we'll minus our big number with our smallest number, and then we'll have our 29. 29 will be our numerator, and then our denominator doesn't change. So guys, to verify our answer again, I always like it when we verify our answers to check if we are correct or not. So to verify your answer, you can just say 8 multiplied by 30 plus 29, and it must give you 269. It must give you 269, and then that's when you will know it's correct, and you'll move on to the next question. Right, so did we get this one right? This is how we do it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And then for our activity, guys, can I please ask a question? I didn't receive a lot of your home activities on our last activity. I was expecting to receive like 10 or more. but I only received like a few. Guys, can you please do your home activity so that tomorrow it will be much fun, right? So for your home activity, you will do number those numbers, and you will only leave this one. We'll do it together tomorrow in class, during our class, right? And for the subtraction here, guys, for the subtraction, you do the very same method. It's just that now 5 minutes remaining, we won't be able to finish everything. Okay, so here's our final answer for our addition. Let me highlight it before we end our lesson. We can give it another yellow. So here's our final answer for number A as a mixed fraction is 829 over 30. And as our improper fraction, it's 269 over 30. And we treat the subtraction the same way as we treat our addition. You need to subtract, and you need to change your numerators. Get the lowest common multiple, because the denominators are not the same, right? Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to see you again tomorrow. Here's your home activity. You can take a screenshot, and please don't forget to do it. This video will be on YouTube again, so that you can just go back and revise if you find some questions a bit difficult. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I will see you again tomorrow.